guys, it's Dr. Bickling from Own It Dental. As always, here's my contact information if you need to get a hold of me. And if you guys are enjoying these videos, please do hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button. It's right down below. It only takes you a second. As a matter of fact, it's faster than doing a hygiene exam on a patient with no teeth. Speaking of hygiene exams, today we're going to talk about what does a hygiene exam look like. To me, it looks a lot like a sandwich. So let's dig into it. All right. So like I said, today we're going to talk about what does a hygiene exam look like? A lot of my clients have been asking, hey, doc, what do you do when you go in and do a hygiene exam? Or how do you train your associates? And so today I'm going to go over that. And to me, a hygiene exam looks a lot like a sandwich. But before we talk about what it does look like, let's first talk about what it doesn't look like. Or it might look like a sandwich to us, but it looks like this to the patient, right? It looks like just people hovering over them, and the doctors will actually have their loops on, a light on. It can be really intimidating. And if you don't think this is intimidating, what I want you to do is go in, lay down in a chair, and have one of your doctors or something just lean over you and just do it for 2 minutes and just see how long that 2 minutes is. So trust me, if you do that to your staff, it's pretty uncomfortable. So we have to understand from the patient's perspective, first of all, what not to do. We're not just going to go in there and lean over top of them for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, right? But every time I walk past a dentist, one of my associates, and they're doing a hygiene exam, this is what I see. I see the patient leaning back, the doctor has their mask on and they're pointing at the computer screen behind the patient. The patient has to, crook their neck to look at it, right? It's very uncomfortable. And see, that's me right there. You can see my OS vein is sticking out. I mean, it's very uncomfortable to do this. So remember, if we want the patient to say yes to dentistry, we got to get them to like us and trust us, and making them uncomfortable and making them, do stuff like this, that's not going to help our case. So again, before we get into what to do, first we have to know what not to do. Let's not do this when it comes to doing our hygiene exams. But in any case, before we get into the sandwich, the first thing I do is I always meet with my hygienist before I see any hygiene patient. So just before I walk in the room and the hygienist comes and gets me, they're going to give me a brief little rundown on every patient, whether I've met them before or not. I want to know their name, have I met them before? Because sometimes I forget, right? I don't want to walk in there and go, hey, nice to meet you. And yeah, you've seen me 4 times, right? So I forget too. Have I done any work on them? And if so, how's it feeling? Does the patient need any more treatment? Or if it's a new patient, do they need treatment, right? But more importantly, do they have any concerns, right? And if they do have treatment that's needed, are they concerned about it? Because remember the awareness and concern. It's one thing to be aware of it. It's another thing to be concerned about it. So I need to know if they have any concerns about it or not. So does it make any sense if a patient needs orthodontics but doesn't want it, it's not concerned about it? Doesn't make any sense for me to go in there and bark at them for 5 minutes about needing orthodontics, right? That's not a good way of building rapport with the patient. So in any case, now we're going to get into the sandwich. This is the dentistry sandwich. This is one of the first things I learned as a young dentist on how to communicate with a patient. So a sandwich, as you can see, is basically made up into 3 parts. There's a layer of bread, there's a layer of meat, and then another layer of bread up top, right? And these represent different parts of the hygiene exam. The first part is the layer of bread. The bread is just go in there and talk about stuff, right? Talk about anything. Go in there and give them a nice greeting. Hey, Mr. Jones, thanks for coming in today. How was your summer? Question. Have you gone on any trips? Question. Oh, your kid's going to school. Tell me about that. Question. Just go in there and talk about stuff. That's the first layer of the sandwich. Talk about stuff, right? Then the second layer is the meat of the sandwich, and that's the dentistry. Then okay, well, let's sit back. Let's take a look. Our hygienist here had a couple of concerns, and I'm just going to take a look around and see what things look like. So then I talk about the meat a little bit. And again, I do that just like I've done in other videos where I'm not talking at them, I'm asking questions. Well, Mr. Jones, I see you have a missing tooth. Tell me about that. What are your thoughts on that? Are you interested in fixing it? Do you know what your options are? Which one of these sounds better for you? And then you go, okay, and there you go. And this shouldn't really take very long. It should only take a few minutes because, again, your hygienist has already given you an update on what they need before you even walk in there. So your examination really shouldn't take that long. And talking about things is as simple as what I just did right there. It's just a series of questions to get to the patient to tell you what they want to do. And then you just go, okay. And then the last part of the sandwich is the third layer is another layer of bread. Before you let the patient go, just talk about stuff a little bit more, okay? Right? Just, so, all right, Mr. Jones, well, I'm glad you enjoyed your vacation to Italy. I really wish that I could go there sometime, but I'm busy here working 6 and 7 days a week. So in any case, and then of course you say, before I leave, are there any other questions you might have for me? Right, so that's our sandwich. First is just talk about stuff, then talk about the meat, and then talk about more stuff before you leave. And so what does that look like? So when you walk into the room, the first thing I would suggest is just sit down. Sit down in front of the patient, comfortable distance apart, right? Take your mask off, take your loops off, and just sit. And this is where you have the first bread of the sandwich, is just talking about stuff, right? Hey, Mr. Jones, how's your summer going? Something like that. And whatever question you ask, listen to their answer and try to relate to them a little bit. If they tell you about some place they've been, say, oh yeah, I was there too. Hey, have you ever been to such and such a restaurant? One of my favorite places, kind of a thing. Try to relate to them a little bit. That's going to make them like you and trust you. And it's going to bring their guard down. So that way, when you do talk about the dentistry, remember, shields down before information in, right? Then you'll do the examination. Now, for a lot of doctors, your sandwich looks a lot like this. All you do is you talk about dentistry, right? You just go in there and talk. It's just all business. And I understand you're a dentist, you're busy, and you want to get this done. And we were always taught that educating patients makes them say yes to dentistry, and that's not true. It only makes them more aware. It doesn't make them more concerned. So your sandwiches always look like this, doctors, when you go in and do your exams. It doesn't have to look like that. I'd prefer it look something like this, the big bread, little meat sandwich. You just go in, you talk to them, you have some fun. Enjoy the company with the patient. You talk a little bit about the dentistry that they need, and then you talk about more stuff, right? So I prefer our sandwiches to look a little bit more like this. So then, that top sandwich there is I sit them up again, just like I did in the first photo. So it kind of looks a little something like this. So you go in, you talk to them. There's the first layer of bread. You talk about stuff. Then you do the dentistry, right? You talk about the dentistry, and then you talk about more stuff over there, right? That's what the sandwich looks like. You sit them. You're always sitting them up, comfortable distance apart. Take your mask off. Show them your facial expressions. Let them know you're a human. That way they can like you and trust you. All of this should take probably 5 minutes or less. Your mileage may vary. It depends on the patient. If you remember your DISC personalities, your D personalities, they don't want to talk a lot anyway. So this is going to be just a very small bit. You'll talk very quickly about the dentistry, and then you'll just say a nice goodbye and get them on the schedule. But your I's, your S's, and your C personalities, they're going to need a little bit more of this. The I's are going to want to have a little bit more conversation. The S's are going to want a little bit more trust. And the C personalities are going to want a little bit more detail. So these slices of bread are going to be a little bit bigger on the I's, the S's, and the C personalities. Like I said, the D's, they don't really want to talk too much. They just want to know, what do I need done? How much does it cost? When can you get me in? So that's how that one's going to go. But this is what the dentistry sandwich looks like. So you got the bread, you got the meat, and you got more bread over there. So in any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this kind of gets you an idea, at least as a template, of what does a hygiene exam look like. To me, it looks a lot like a dentistry sandwich. So in any case, I hope you enjoyed it. I will talk to you on the next one. See you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like it, go to ownitdental.com or click the link above and check out my services. I have dozens of hours of training videos, and I've negotiated reduced lab fees for all my clients. So if you want to get out of the dental chair and start owning your business, go to ownitdental.com and check out my services, and I'll see you soon.